It's fun. It's always fun winning at Soldier Field because, like I said, everybody wants us to lose there. So it's always fun to win.
Jair couldn't bring himself to say kick some ass or carry the G,
Mm-mm.
but it's always fun, KB.
Yeah, you know what else is fun? Because
What's
I can
fun?
bring myself to say carry the G, and I can bring myself to say, you know who carries it better than anyone else? Aaron Nagler of Cheesehead TV. Nags, happy Monday.
Victory Monday.
Victory Monday, baby. How we doing? How we feeling?
Oh.
So good to be a fan of the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, my goodness. Nags, we talked about it going in last week. And
Yeah,
we're
we
like,
did.
well, we don't know what's going to happen. We're in uncharted territory, but whichever team stops the run effectively is going to win. Packers went beyond just stopping the run. Pro Football Focus, 36 pressures. Oh, my. Against Justin
they
Fields.
controlled the game up front on both sides of the ball. It's an old kind of cliche. The game is won in the trenches. Packers won the game in the trenches. They controlled the line of scrimmage. How many times have we seen them get overrun, basically unable to stop the run, unable to generate much in the running game or protect the quarterback? They were excellent in all of those facets yesterday, no doubt.
Yeah. The only time that I quibbled was on a Jair blitz, and we just heard from Jair. He lost contain on the outside, and that was enough.
Well, and look, at some point you do have to tip your cap. I mean, Justin Fields in the open field is really difficult to bring down, and he made a great play there to get out of Jair's grasp, and no doubt about it. You tip your cap there, but for the most part, look at Lucas Van Ness. I think there was a moment there where Justin Fields thought, oh, look at this, another dude trying to tackle me in the open field. I'm just going to run away from him, not knowing that Lucas Van Ness himself is an athletic freak who brought him down. So that was fun to watch.
But Justin Fields, though, is easy to bring down in the backfield, which was nice to see.
Well, that's the thing. The way the Packers were able to, for much of the game, obviously you're never going to do it completely with Fields because he's so good in this aspect. But, the idea of the containment of the rush where all four guys, and they did a lot as far as like stunting and getting guys looping around, but they never really, for the most part, let the door open for an easy escape. He scored him through a few times, but man, they did a really nice job of maintaining their rush lanes, being disciplined, and making sure that there wasn't a very easy way for him to get away. Like, they kept the pressure on throughout that entire game.
Our conversations with Aaron Nagler are presented by Miller Lite, Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference in Rogers Behavioral Health. So, Nags, with the way the game went, we have to remind ourselves that the Bears aren't good. They had the number 1 overall pick. They won 3 games last year.
Right.
They've lost 11 in a row. They've lost 9 in a row to the Packers and been skunked in several of those. I think, 6 or 7 of those have been by 2 or more scores.
Right.
That aside, if we can compartmentalize, when was the last time you saw a Packers team play this complete a game in all 3 phases?
That's
complementary football
thing.
Or whatever. It was
right.
Clean. Now, we can quibble about some things in plays like we always do. We can quibble about the 9 penalties, some of them after the whistle and stuff, but complete game. When's the last time we saw one of these? I kept racking my brain trying to think of it.
It's been a long time as far as both sides of the ball, and then, throw in special teams as well. But look at the offense coming out and putting points on the board on the initial drive, right? Something that they struggled with a lot last year. To get that 7 points in this game, especially, you go into half, it's 10-6. I mean, just to play with a lead. And then the defense, when the offense did, and we have talked about this all summer long, is inevitably going to struggle. You've got a first-year starter. You've got a lot of young pieces at the skill position players. You look at a defense that in the past, especially at the start of last year, did not hold up their end of the bargain in that regard. They hold them to 6 points throughout the entirety of the first half, despite the offense continually kind of shooting themselves in the foot, some 3 and outs. You're just not getting much traction. In the past, a lot of times we've seen that kind of fall apart on them. That didn't happen. They played complementary football throughout that game, and that was a recipe for success. And look, I'm not going to pretend like I know, that's going to happen every week or they've arrived in that regard. But man, as far as a first kind of game out the gate, stepping stone for a very young team trying to find its identity, that's incredibly encouraging.
Okay, but the first drive, you mentioned it, it's so sweet to see them put up points, especially on the road. That's a great recipe in the National Football League.
Absolutely.
And then the next two series, like Aaron Jones, who dominated that first series, disappears and has everybody in Packer Nation going, what the hell, is he hurt? What's going on? Why is he not in there? They've done this to us in the past. They've underused this thing. My stance on this is, okay, we had the hamstring thing on the touchdown, and so now he had to take an early exit. But Nags, given the way it's trending, and again, we're worried about this year, not next year, but I would treat Aaron Jones like I'm a college baseball coach and he's my star pitcher and I'm going to ride him 150 pitches. I'm going to pitch him as much as I can.
That's what you and I would do.
Yes.
And I understand it, but they are thinking long-term. They want to win as many games as possible throughout the entirety of the season. And look, if you're the Packers, you turn around and go, well, look at that touchdown where he hurt himself. Like, this is the thing. Like, you are as the Packers, you're trying to, yes, use his explosiveness. You want to absolutely understand that he's your best offensive player. There's no doubt. But there's not a season that you can point to where he hasn't been dinged up a little bit. And so if you're the Packers, I get it. Though what's frustrating to me is just like whether it's seemingly on or off. And they did utilize Jones a little bit, or he at least was out there throughout the entirety of the first half in some capacity. Like there were a couple, passing plays where he's in the backfield and he jets out, or he's the release valve or what have you, but he's not a focal point of the offense in any real way. And then lo and behold, coming out of halftime, you give him the ball a bunch of times and look, you end up in the end zone. Like, well,
it should run through him.
Yes.
And Aaron Andrews talking to LaFleur.
Yeah, her first question was like,
what are you going to do? We got to get him in the game.
Well, okay, but then the flip side of that is, in addition to that being a refrain, and I get it, Nags, and you're right. It's us fans being fantasy owners and stuff. Give him the ball, playing Madden, right?
Yeah,
where you can't get hurt.
Well, my thing is, like, get the lead. It's so clear that points flow through this guy. So get the lead and then rest him.
Okay, I'll buy that. But I don't remember a game in which the drop-off between Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon seemed as stark as it did.
Well, okay. I'm glad you brought that up because I just talked about this with Andy Herman on my weekly chat that we have on the Cheesehead TV YouTube channel. I had a lot of people in my mentions on the chat during the game really down on AJ's performance. And I would encourage everyone to go back and look at the plays themselves, not just how they feel about them, and look at what he had to work with blocking wise on most of those plays. I'm not dismissing or excusing everything as far as like what AJ did production wise, but man, there are a number of plays where there's a guy, usually Josh Myers, sometimes another guard, who's like in his lap essentially when he's getting the football, and he does everything possible to turn what probably would have been a 1 or 2 yard loss into a 1 or 2 yard gain. That's not insignificant, but then you look at the stat sheet afterwards and it's like, oh, he averaged 1.5 yards per carry. Oh, that's not great. No, it's very poor, but he was also dealing with a lot of guys in his face as he's getting the ball.
Agreed. That's your old, those guys get paid too. Usually he's one handing out punishment, and he got hammered a couple of times.
And he did. But I will say, you go back, and I think most people forget it because we get so frustrated with the lack of Aaron Jones and that we're not producing on the ground. But if you go back and watch, there's a series right towards down in the red zone where he runs hard as hell, runs through a couple dudes. He gets the ball down first within the red zone and then down to the 1 yard line. It's like he just doesn't end up with a touchdown. Like, I can't kill him for that. He's still running hard. He's still producing.
But I know KB was yelling at the TV on this play, and I wasn't even watching the game with TV, but they set up like a screen to him.
That's the worst play.
3 O-line men in front of him and green pasture. And it's like, okay.
Here we go.
Like, went nowhere. It's like,
we went ballistic on the watch party. Yeah. Well, it's not even the cut. It's just the patience. And it's something that, some guys are really, really good at, and some guys have to develop. And I that's the one play. The screen was blocked, and you should have at least had a first down off that play, if not a ton
they
more.
Gave 4 or 5 yards on that play?
They didn't even come close to the first down marker. Like, it was hard. That was hard to watch. No doubt.
It was all set up perfectly.
Now there was a moment in the game where I was watching and I did just scream, "No!" Do you know what that is? Do you know? Take a guess at which one it was.
I'm trying to remember. There are
could have been one of the 9 penalties.
No,
I know, right? I don't know. You're gonna have to tell me.
When Jaden Reed went down and grabbed his leg.
Oh, yeah, that was
100%.
I was just because you know what
you saw so much promise there.
Oh, did you ever?
Billy and I thought that was like patella
I thought he was over. I thought it was season ending.
So did I.
I thought it was done, especially when he gets up and he can't put any weight on it, and they got 2 trainers and he's hopping off. And I thought, oh my god, here we go. His season's over. And then he's out there recovering the onside kick.
And it was a cramp.
About a roller coaster of emotion. Yeah, he was cramped up.
A cramp, and we thought I thought it was a knee, and didn't look like a knee, but then
that's oh my god, his knee, and now he's at ACL, and he's never going to be as fast as he could have been, and that was the end of everything. And I quit.
So Nags, we're talking about the complete game of this. Anders Carlson makes his 52-yarder, which is not insignificant. And Danny Whalen put the ball down on a high snap on that, which when you got a long kick and you got a high snap like that.
That was great work.
Jeff's kiss. That was like one of those moments that under the radar that you just got to give him a thumbs up. Yeah. So and that's what I'm talking about. Like the
camera angle operation on that kick is amazing too, because it's like legit right behind the snap. And you just see it like it's way over his head, and to get it down and turned and perfect for the kicker, like that's so well done. Yeah. Very unheralded, most likely today.
Yeah. And so the rest of it, like we can nitpick on a lot of things. Now, the other thing is the discipline of the penalties. 9 penalties. LaFleur's he's going to be at a certain point, he's going to be screaming during the film session about some of those.
Some of them. I mean, look, I didn't have a problem with a lot of it, actually. It's the stuff that you can control. There's some physical stuff where, okay, you'll get caught and maybe you're in a bad position or what have you. It's, post or pre-snap. Those are the ones that you get mad about,
Post whistle, pre-snap.
Ones. And even some of that, though, is like with the Bears and how chippy they were. I mean, the scrum on the sideline after Jair makes a perfectly legal hit on the quarterback. Yeah. And the Bears are like treating it like he went Charles Martin on the guy. I'm like, okay, can we just take a breath here? So there's the offsets there. You know what I mean? Like, so there's some retaliatory stuff. And again, like it's football and they're coming to their teammates' aid. I don't have a problem with most of that. Like that, but again, the like pre-snap penalties, the Wicks on you got 3rd and 3 and Wicks has the flinch and that's a false start. And now it's 3rd and 8 instead of 3rd and 3. You're putting yourself in a much tougher position there. Like those are the things that I think LaFleur will undoubtedly be getting after the guys about.
All right, so we don't have to talk about Devontae Wyatt because he was a beast, and we just want to leave that where it is. And just
yes, sir, he was.
But Nags, last thing on the way out, I want to ask you about the Darnell Savage Redemption Tour, because early on he was coming up making some plays, and if we see that from him, now he had some rough plays too, but if we see that from him and that aggressiveness setting the tone there, that is nothing but positive.
That was his best performance in Joe Barry's defense that I can like even pinpoint, as far as when he was under Mike Pettin, it really looked like he was ascending. Like I thought he was coming on, and then Joe arrived in a much different scheme. And I think it's been, I don't know, a bit of a rough go for Darnell, but man, he was lights out yesterday. Like, yeah, he had a misstep or two, but for the most part, he was flying around. He was being physical. He was seeing it. What's so encouraging about that game is there were so many plays where in the past it was like maybe he's overthinking it or trying to diagnose or just a step too late. He was ahead of it yesterday. He could see it. He knew maybe that's great tape study. Maybe that's some adjustment they made as far as what his responsibilities are, the way they utilized him. You always know he's much better towards the line of scrimmage. And yesterday you saw, a lot of those plays where he just knew and saw it so well way before it happened. And he was able to diagnose and be there and make the play and make the hit in a physical way, real confident. That, like I said, since Joe Barry's been in town, I think that's pretty clearly his best game.
Fantastic.
Nags, they covered the middle of the field. Thank you.
There you go. Just for you.
Just for me.
Just like even to the point where Quay Walker was smack dab in the middle of the field.
Yes.
Picked the guy when he picked Fields off and ran back for a touchdown.
Yes.
I love that.
A thing of beauty. Oh my goodness. It's going to be an awesome week as we get ready for game 2 Saturday against Atlanta. Love having Nags on Monday with the immediate.
It's the best.
Yesterday's game.
Let's
go. And let's talk about what's going to happen tomorrow because the Carry the Jeep program is.
Can you believe this? They're going to give me a microphone for 2 hours on your airwaves. What is happening? I can't wait. I can't wait to rip it up with Billy Schmid, Wayne Larrivee. It's going to be a lot of fun. And hey, everybody, everybody listening right now, hey, talking text line is open.
That's
Let
right.
us hear it. I want to hear from the smart, good-looking listeners. I want it all, baby. Let's
2
go.
hours of Carry the G. Set it and forget it. Rip off the knob. It's going to be awesome. Nags, thank you for joining us, man. Carry the G, and we'll talk to you on Friday.
Thank you, gentlemen. Talk to you soon.
All right. Aaron Nagler, cheeseheadtv.com. Our conversations with